Okay. Next game, the 49ers at the Seahawks. This line opened up Seahawks -5. It's down to 3. Once again, a lot of public money coming in on the underdog. So are you going to be 3 for 3 with fading the public dog?
Yes, I am. I don't know why this line moves so much. I get that the 49ers crushed the Patriots, but it didn't need to move this much. I mean, the 49ers are good and they're getting better, but clearly there was something wrong with the Patriots on offense. And Seattle's offense is excellent. Like, they do not even remotely compare to what New England has right now. At least in terms of skill position weapons and quarterbacks. I mean, offensive line, you can debate all day which unit is better, but Seattle at least gets by with what they have. So I just think Seattle has the personnel needed to slow down the run game for the 49ers, and receiving wise on defense, they can contain Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle. I mean, they're not going to contain them entirely. Their secondary has had some issues this year, but with Deebo Samuel out, there's just 2 real receiving threats, and then Kendrick Bourne will probably be the number 2 guy. The running game's a mess because they have 3 guys on IR, and Tevin Coleman may or may not be back this week. So I think if the Seahawks force the 49ers to be one-dimensional and throw the ball, it's going to be hard for the 49ers to keep pace the whole night. The other massive thing to watch is if Jamal Adams is back, this pass defense for the Seahawks is going to be better. On paper, they're terrible statistically. I think that's more to do with their pass rush lacking and their corners and safeties being asked to cover for too long. But it's also because Jamal Adams has missed some time. And if he's back, that's a boost either way. And Jimmy Garoppolo has been prone to some turnovers. So I think Seattle favored by 3 at home with the line moving this much. I like the Seahawks for 2 to 4 units at this point. It'll probably be my biggest play of the week if Jamal Adams plays. And even if not, I'm still going to be on them regardless.
So Andrew Paul brought up a good point. The Seahawks are coming off an overtime game that went the distance basically. So they basically played 5 quarters on Sunday night. So they didn't have Sunday evening to recuperate either. So that is one concern I have for the Seahawks. Another concern I have for the Seahawks is, you mentioned Jamal Adams. That's a big injury. They're missing some other safeties. They're missing Mike Iupati. Who knows if he's going to come back? Sounds like he's close to play, so he might return this week. They lost Damian Lewis against the Cardinals. He's had a great rookie year as a guard. And then they're going to be without several running backs. Like Chris Carson sounds like he's not going to play. Carlos Hyde's hurt. Travis Homer's hurt. So we'll see what happens with all those injuries. So like those two elements are why I may not bet this game heavily, but I'm still going to be on the Seahawks. And two reasons for that is the Niners are, I know they've won their past 2 games, but they're still missing 6 starters on defense. Like that's still way too many. But they played against the Patriots, and now we know that Cam Newton's injured, and then against the Rams, and the Rams aren't very impressive. The Seahawks should be able to take advantage of that. Even as good as Jason Verrett has been, like Stephon Gilmore couldn't even stop DK Metcalf. Like there's no stopping this guy. All it takes is for Russell Wilson to throw to him, unlike what happened Sunday night. Just threw to Tyler Lockett nonstop. I actually had a DraftKings lineup that cashed in a high stakes contest where I had Russell Wilson a quarterback and Metcalf at receiver. So if I had Lockett there, I may have won the whole thing, which is just so upsetting. Anyway, and speaking of Wilson, by the way, 22-10 against the spread off a loss. So he's going to be extra motivated. I love betting great quarterbacks off a loss. We had that last week with Aaron Rodgers off a loss. And by the way, the Packers are missing so many players as well. I even texted you on Friday night before we had to submit our super contest picks. I'm like how depressing is it that the Packers have so many injuries, and yet it didn't matter because Aaron Rodgers was so focused on the game. Like he wanted to win off that loss. And I think that Russell Wilson is going to play the same way. So even if Adams doesn't play, even if the offensive linemen are out, even if all the running backs are out, even if they're tired, I still like the Seahawks to cover. It's just going to be a question of how many units.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with the comparison to the Packers game. You just betting elite quarterbacks off a loss is a good thing. And especially for Seattle, it feels like they should have won that game. They had so many opportunities. They were 1 yard away from being able to take a knee and ice it. And then they gave the ball back to the Cardinals, and the defense just couldn't stop them. And then DK Metcalf had that screen catch for a touchdown in overtime, which almost made me throw something at a wall because I was so mad because I was like, oh, we had to cover so many times, but then there was a hold on the play. So, the Seahawks are going back and be like, we were one play away from winning this thing. So I think that's going to motivate them too. I think that'll kind of, take a little bit of the edge off they might be exhausted from the overtime game, which is absolutely valid. But another point too, Seattle never plays well against Arizona, I think it is. Or maybe that's San Francisco. I can't remember which one. Both teams, any NFC West game is usually pretty well contested. But I think this is one that Seattle, they should be able to get this, especially since the 49ers have been able to kind of, beat them handily the last couple of years. Last year, they lost to them twice, and that was the difference between them getting a first-round bye or not.
Well, no, last year, remember Seattle won in overtime at San Francisco on Monday night, and then it was week 17. That's where you're thinking of, where Seattle was 1 yard away from.
That's what I'm thinking of. You're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah. So it was a split last year. I remember the Seahawks were +6 on Monday night, and they won outright against the 49ers look great heading into that game. So yeah, I mean, you never know with divisional games, it could go either way, but I think with Russell Wilson off a loss, he's just going to be so much more motivated, I think. So